Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Hello there, it's time to talk business on your favorite morning radio. My name is Winifred Weber and I'm having an in-house guest as usual on the program. It's also the group business is the editor of National Economy, Kingsley and Kingsley. Thank you so much. My name is Winifred Weber and of course it's a pleasure to be hosting you on today's edition of the program. We want to see what national economy is leading with on today's on this today is June 26th, 2023. And of course, the leading story says $21 billion divestment in Nigeria's upstream oil sector. $21 billion divestment signal. Stakeholders worry as multinationals' capital expenditure in upstream sector drops by 74% in 8 years. That means during the last administration's 2 term in office, about 74% of capital expenditure in upstream sector dropped by 74%. Say more investments, production needed. $21 billion divestment in Nigeria's upstream oil sector. Dangerous signal. Stakeholders worry as multinationals' capital expenditure in upstream sector drops by 74% in 8 years. Say more investment, production needed. We also have some other leading stories as well, how your fingerprint will change the authentication game. Navigating Nigeria's debt, a prudent approach to sustainable development, and what you need to know about the new forest regime. These are all leading stories on this weekly national economy, which is from Monday 26th to Sunday of July 2023. Yes, before we go further into inside pages, we are going to be discussing, showing some lights on the leading story, which is the $21 billion divestment in Nigeria's upstream sector. Welcome once again, Kingsley.
Thank you.
Now your living story, it's one that leaves us with no hope at all.
Yes,
It's a formal one.
of course. And I think powers that be needs to be very, very concerned about this.
Yes.
Because in 2014, we had about $27 billion.
Yes.
And then following the investment in the last 8 years, the thing dropped to around $6 billion.
No, this divestment
Yes.
within the 8 years, of course, it was during the 8 years of President Muhammadu
Yes, of
Buhari
course.
administration.
Yes.
Now, one begins to wonder, where was the federal government when the divestment was being carried out? Or were they not aware? Or have we been
It's
taken
not as
unaware?
if, I don't think it's not as if they are not aware. Of course, they are aware. But if you recall that recently, Asari Dokubo made some, stunning revelations about activities, especially in the Niger Delta region, as
Yes.
regards the oil, their bunkerings and fooling and all the rest of them,
Mm.
where he was emphatic that the military,
It was culpable.
was culpable in the whole thing, and was even urging the president to take some necessary steps to correct all this, because before Jonathan left, we had $27 billion. So how come between 2015 and 2022, the whole thing now dropped to these $6 billion? We've lost already $21 billion. And what does it tell you? This, like you rightly pointed out, it has 12%, decline, in the upstream annual capital expenditure of government. And by implication, it simply means that, it is going to, of course, affect our revenue base. That will also lead to, which budget deficits, of course. And apart from that, also, you also look at the attendant job losses that might also follow. And so it is not really good news that these things are going the way they are going. And of course, there's an aspect of also reduced public spending on critical infrastructure. Those things are very, very important, that this government now needs to wake up and arrest the situation before it declines further than this.
Now, multinationals' capital expenditure, as they are spending, their investment drops.
Yes.
What do you think can be done to engage these multinationals to ensure that their interest is sustained in our upstream sector?
No, the only thing just sanitize the sector. Do you understand me? Because there's no denying the fact that the more they are divesting, the more it is also affecting. Remember,
Yes,
there
the
were
more they are
some,
divesting, the
yeah,
more it's
just
affecting
before
us.
the divestment, there were efforts, to carry out some remediation measures in the Niger Delta region. Of course, the water's already polluted, and also ensure, more greener practices. But then you notice that as soon as this government came on board, the Buhari administration, the last administration came on board, all these things that as if they were swept under the carpet. Criminals were having their ways and they were just messing things up. So what they need to do, number one, is let's also look at the issue of maybe diversification. Government should look at how it can, promote sectors like the manufacturing, look at the agriculture, look at technology, look at renewable energy, look at even tourism. You really need to diversify, but you have to diversify in critical sectors that can be able also to generate you income. But at the moment now, nothing's really going on.
Now, I think over the past 3 years, we were told that revenue from or non-oil or remittance from non-oil sector actually increased, because we saw that even NNPC, as it were, was not actually remitting money to the coffers for the federal government. So
Yes.
the states, the federal government had to depend on non-oil sector for its survival, so to speak. Could it be that this is why so much attention is not being deployed to this upstream oil sector?
No, it's not. It's about policies and implementation. It's about who is in charge. You and I know that criminals, hoodlums had their feet day in the past 8 years. We know that one. The issue is that what policy have you put in place? What reforms are you coming up with to address some certain issues is working against the economy of the country? In the last 8 years, all we are hearing were talk. Unfortunately, it's cheap.
Rhetorics.
Anybody can say anything. It started with Tompolo. He started even indicting some people, key players in the oil industry. And he wasn't missing word when he said that these people are the ones responsible for siphoning our oil, diverting them. And nobody did anything about it, because those in government, they should even be part of the team investigating all these allegations, were also involved in the fraud that was happening. So this time around, I'm thinking also that the TB administration should look at the possibility to promote ease of doing business.
Yes, but actually, the PIA Act, when the PIA was, or PIB came into law by President Buhari in, was it 3 years ago, and of course, it was something that was widely hailed by all. And of course, everybody says that the PIA will actually provide a comprehensive regulatory framework for the air sector. Now, these multinationals, just by your leading story today, they are divesting. And yet we have PIA functioning, PIA on our hands. So what can be done? Because there's need to, because a situation whereby we don't have local industries that could have also have showed up to have taken place of these multinationals that are divesting. Is there anything, what happened that over the years our local industries or local companies too, they were not able to also show up to fill this gap that is going to be led by
this is what is expected now from this government. Encourage the growth of these indigenous oil companies. It will help to ease off a lot of tensions, especially coming from all this divestment. Over the past years, they have almost paid attention to the big oil majors. So I think it's
but the signs have been there, because 8 years ago we saw even Exxon Mobil, Shell, all of them, divesting gradually. Why is it that Nigeria will always wait to the last and take fire brigade approach in order to approach issues? So why leave it too late? Because like what the story says today, $21 billion is quite a huge amount of money. So what really now happens? Because at the end of the day, okay, we also have a situation whereby we have a gas, quite a sizable number of gas, and yet we don't have companies that are also going to harness it.
No, you need a conducive environment. If you were a company, you need a conducive environment to operate. We don't have that kind of conducive environment in the first place. We don't have them. What are they doing about even the issue of security? We don't have them.
But this is primarily as a result that because the world is looking away from oil,
No,
Don't you think?
it is not. It is not. Nigeria, yes, the world will be
Because
looking
the
away.
divestment has been gradual, like your report said, for over 8 years.
Yes.
Many people are looking away from oil.
No, it's
They are
not.
looking
These
at,
only measures were here in the first place to make profit.
Yes, but the world is
When the
talking about
environment
climate
was-
change now.
Yeah,
So they are
climate
moving
it,
away,
it doesn't
and
it
they are
doesn't stop.
talking
It doesn't-
about renewable,
renewable energy.
energy.
Yes, we agree. But that doesn't mean people stop using fuel. You need fuel to power your vehicle, for instance. Do you understand me? It doesn't mean people aviation they need fuel. So it doesn't mean the fact that you're talking about renewable, it doesn't mean that you abandon fuel. No, it is not. On the contrary, what is happening now is that certain criminal elements are hiding behind this new drive for renewable energy to cause more harm to the sector. For instance, now let's even come the Weight and Measures Department of the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. They have been complaining, they have been lamenting, they are not allowed to do their work. For instance, they will give you, say, Nigeria produces 2 million barrels of oil per day. How do you know? You are relying because they told you. Who was there to gauge it and tell you this is what is actually coming out from the ground? They have not been allowed to operate because these people are corrupt from top to bottom. So it's not even enough for Mr. Tinubu, Mr. President, to kind of say you have removed all the service chiefs. What of the boys? What of the rank and file? Do you understand me?
Yes,
this thing is a chain. You just have one titular head, but there are others, behind that are also part of the whole system. So if you must purge, it must be systemic purge. You must cleanse the system of this element. And then because what the IU measures are actually looking at is to see that you are really sanitizing the sector. It has to be very conducive for them. If you are an investor and you are in that region and they are siphoning your oil, I don't know how you feel about it. But that's exactly what is going on there. So this is the reason why government has to come up with policies that encourage this ease of doing business in the first place. And the most importantly also, look at how you can divest the economy. It is very, very important. Look at the agriculture we've mentioned. Look at all and then look at even issue of security. Nobody wants to be criminal. Before, it used to be the order of the day in the past 8 years, And so you look at these things, that's only way you can sanitize the sector and then scale up investment. Because by the investment now that is going on there, while it is affecting infrastructure, you need these guys to help you fix your infrastructure.
Yes,
you need them also to help you make some key critical investments. If they are not there, it's going to affect. This 6 billion that is left now we're talking may further drop if they are paying lip service to all these things.
All right, now let's go on a short break. When we come back, we are also going to be talking about some other stories as well inside national economy this week. Please don't go away, just stay.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, the program is Morning Radio. Every Monday, we discuss and highlight front page and inside stories of leadership's stable paper, national economy. And of course, as usual on the program to review it is the editor of the paper, Kingsley Alu. Kingsley, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
once again.
Thank you.
Now, before we go back to the leading story, we want to talk about, touch on some inside pages of the paper. Let's go over to the editorial of the paper. And the editorial on page 3. Page 3 says charting a path to economic stability. Charting a path to economic stability. That's the editorial, the post of the paper this week on national economy. From page 3, we move over to page 4. Page 4 is the leading story. $21 billion divestment in Nigeria's upstream sector. Dangerous signal. And underneath it, we have energy drinks producers charge federal government to protect 400 billion naira investment in subsector. This is what we are talking about, to protect. Now we are talking about not having. We have few manufacturing companies or firms in Nigeria, to show up foreign exchange, and the few ones that we have, they don't have ease of doing business. There's, do you have anything to say of that?
No, the thing is just like you rightly pointed out. Government has to look at ways they can support these subsectors of the economy.
Yes.
Yeah, because they're actually also employing people.
Mm.
They are employing people. They are paying their tax. They're also contributing to revenue.
Yes,
Yeah.
a part of the statement by the Director General Africa Brands Group, Mr. Ayodele Joseph, which was made available to the paper, say that we need to stem the tide of Nigerian companies relocating to neighboring countries due to the seemingly hostile production environment. Nigeria needs to protect the high investment and employment opportunities in all associated companies. That just said it all.
Yeah.
From the page 4 of the national economy, because we are seeing some inside pages. We are moving over to page page 7. Page 7 says, page 7 is on human resource. Human resource this week says building a successful team in workplace. Building a successful team in workplace. One of the key factors in creating a winning team is establishing a culture that supports innovation and creativity. From human resource page, we move over to page 12. Page 12 is on Page 12 is on the fuel subsidy conundrum, assessing impact of its removal in Nigeria. The fuel subsidy conundrum, assessing impact of its removal in Nigeria. We also have fiscal policy under that story, navigating Nigeria's debt, a prudent approach to sustainable development. From page 12, we move over to page 15 of national economy. Page 15 says what you need to know about the new forest regime is on Money Guide. The page is Money Guide. What you need to know about the new forest regime. Many people are not aware of what the new forest regime is all about. They're talking about under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So for what you need to read this Money Guide page 15 for you to know what the new forest regime is all about. From page 15, we move over to page 17, that is on technology, interrogating EU's quest to revive Nigeria's textile industry. Interrogating EU's quest to revive Nigeria's textile industry. EU is European Union, and that is on page 17 of national economy, is on technology page. From page 17, we move over to page 19. Page 19 is all about energy. Can solar energy stand as alternative for energy-starved Nigerians? That is a question on this feature. Can solar energy stand as alternative for energy-starved Nigerians? This report captures concerns by stakeholders about costly solar energy development amid power sector reforms that may escalate electricity tariff. As it is, the disco said they are going to increase electricity hike come July 1st, and that there's no going back. So this page is just for you to read and find out what can be done as alternative. There's energy page on national economy. From page 19, we move over to page 20. Page 20 says poverty, unemployment, inequality should make NAS members sleepless, according to a university lecturer. Done. Poverty, unemployment, inequality should make National Assembly members sleepless. We have to find out more on that states and politics page. From page 20, we move over to the back page of the paper, which is the analyst. The analyst says striking a delicate balance, Nigeria's imperative for pro-poor, pro-growth policies. That's the back page of National Economy titled The Analyst. Striking a delicate balance, Nigeria's imperative for pro-poor, pro-growth policies. That is some of the eye-catching and readable stories, exciting stories on the pages of National Economy this week. Now back to the headline story, Kingsley. Kingsley, what can be done to stem this divestment of multinationals from Nigeria's upstream oil sector?
Well, we have said it here, they need to diversify. Diversification is just
Nigeria, federal government, or
federal government. We should
diversify on his own and take his eyes away from these multinationals that are living.
They're already living.
Yes, they have almost
yeah. It would appear that
one would have
nothing will stop
expected.
them.
The one would have expected that with the PIA, which many of them hailed as a game changer in the oil sector, it would have at least giving them the time exactly for them to stay and explore more.
No, you see, the problem is that this country is very corrupt. The people that are, actually bringing this country to its knees are those that are even walking freely among you. Nobody can touch them. Nobody can do anything to them. Now, I ask you a question. I told you here that look at the weight and measures department, for instance. Why are they not allowed to do their jobs? Why is that anytime they want to do their jobs, one top man or top woman will go and block them? There's an act they have been pressing for God knows how many years now to review the act establishing them. Do you understand me? Why are these people not punished when they do things? It's funny. But because those that you are supposed to punish are also part and parcel of the whole system that has infested everything. Well, how can you wield a big stick on them? So what we are saying here is that first of all, diversify. Then these indigenous oil companies, encourage them. If they need access to fund, give them fund, because they need to also expand. So,
but, what baffles me is that after all these years of this multinationals activity or action in the oil upstream sector in Nigeria,
yes,
we didn't have. There were no Nigerian companies that could come up to understudy them and, of course, learn the game and also be a big player.
They don't need to understudy anybody. These are experts. They don't need to.
I'm talking about local companies.
Yeah, local companies, digital use companies. It's just like when you look at some of these SMEs. There's no much difference between the SMEs and the big manufacturers. Just equipment, capital outlets. Do you understand me?
Yes.
They all know what to do in this system. But because there's a deliberate policy of government, especially in the past administration, to encourage these oil majors, majorly because of the things they gain from them. They just let these just ones, be wasting away there. They need money to expand. Give them access to funding. They need that funding to be able to expand. Do you understand me?
Yes.
If they're able to do that, it will cushion the impact of all this divestment, because these people are not stopping anytime soon. I can bet you that. Because the issue that we look at the revelation from Asare Dokubo, come on, what else do you need to be told again? They are simply telling you that those that are stealing say they will continue stealing and nothing will happen to them.
Apart from the theft of oil by, maybe whoever Asare Dokubo pointed his fingers at, but there's also the report, not just report that that even most of these multinationals are allowed to operate freely in the oil sector. That most times when they will even be the one to provide everything. What NNPC officials do is just to fold their arms. Is these multinationals that will come and tell them, "Oh, look at what we have. Look at what we have proved that we have been able to get and all whatnot." So most times they were allowed a free
it's not about giving them a free level playing field or anything. these guys have money to operate anywhere they want to operate. All they want is create an enabling environment for them to move.
And besides, the locals will also say that they were using a kill and divide approach in their corporate responsibility, service responsibility. So they are host communities.
No.
So it's also part of the free level playing ground.
There's no way they can operate freely in those communities without the active collusion of the military.
Yes.
There's no way. Do you understand me? There's no way. They are colluding, the military especially. Because fine, now they have divested. Who will you hold responsible now? They are leaving. Nigeria is not the only country in the world. They are leaving. Even to nearby African countries, they are going there. So the truth is that they need to overhaul the entire system. Do you understand me? The Nigerian Upstream, Petroleum Regulatory Commission also came up with this is already alarming enough. This figure was actually coming from them. So it is alarming enough. If nothing is done, nothing will be left again. That's the simple truth. So government has to wake up. But in doing that, make it easy for these operators to operate in the region. It's very, very important.
Now, another away from the leading story on national economy, let's look at this another leading story, sub-leading story on the paper, how your fingerprint will change the authentication game.
Yeah.
It's quite an interesting video.
Yes, this one, the scammers cannot, now it's easy for them to...
There's a saying that, or report that there's no two fingerprints alike. How true is that?
Yeah, it's true.
Even among twins.
Yeah, it is true. It is true. It is true. This one is God's doing. Now, that's the only way you can invade all these cyber criminals, and protect your account. In the developed world, it's already something they are doing. It's nothing like it's new. It's not novel to them here. But over here, gradually, we'll get accustomed to it. But that's the only way to safeguard your account and possibly safeguard your investments.
But even with BVN and all whatnot that security apparatus in place, we still have people complaining of their accounts being emptied out by...
Yes, there are cyber criminals. People who
So was there no fingerprint?
No. There's no finger. You know how you do it. The usual thing. You go to bank, you want to open an account, you give your password and all the rest of them. We are saying now that for you now, in the long run, it is going to be your fingerprint.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Something that is being
considered in the future.
Because I was wondering.
Even your ATM eventually this thumbprint will take over. You just have to place it
bring
there.
out your money.
Yeah.
And then ATM machine.
Yes.
Obviously, this is why we end today's program, Money Radio, where we analyze and discuss front page news stories, business stories on your weekly business paper, National Economy. It's been a pleasure hosting on the program. For more stories on the national economy, just log on to the website www.nationaleconomy.com. And from Kingsley,
Thank you.
okay, so I look forward to seeing you next week.
You.
And from me, it's bye. See you next week.
Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.